Hi, this is Ann again with another quick anagram on how to set the current working directory in CLion for beginning programmers so they don't drive themselves insane when they first start working with file I/O. One of the things that you really need to remember is that when you run an application on your local machine, as opposed to running it in the browser, as we run so many different things these days, that application starts up with a specific current working directory. And by default, that directory, until it's changed, is the directory, the folder, where the executable file lives. CLion makes so many things so simple in terms of working with all our files and everything else about the project that it is easy to overlook this. And if you do, you're going to waste a lot of time figuring out why you can't open your files for input or wondering where your output disappeared to. I'm a wily old Windows programmer, and I spent 20 minutes trying to figure out why my file I/O didn't work the other day when I was trying to write up a simple sample for someone. So I'm going to use a little CLion project and demo the problem and demo the solution. Two solutions, a bad solution and a good solution. So if I have a little piece of code here that all it does is input a file name, try to open that file, and then tells me either whether the open succeeded or it failed, and then closes the file. So if I run this, you don't notice the first time you run it that there's any problem, because generally speaking, I always test for failure first and make sure my error messages are there to protect me before I start thinking that something should be working. So if I just type in some input file name that doesn't exist and I don't expect it to be anywhere, I get the error message that I was wanting. Now, the next test I would always run is that I have a data folder in my project. I have an input file that I want to work with. And so the next thing I try is to run a test where if I don't fat finger the input, I will have my file open work. You'll note that I'm using a / here. That's not a mistake. That should work. But it doesn't. If you feel like you need to see me try that with a /, which is Windows standard, I can certainly do that. It still fails. Now, the reason it fails is because the executable I'm running is down here in the cmake-build-debug folder. And a real quick and easy way to make this code work is to take a copy of this file and put it in that folder. If I run the code again now, and I type in input.txt, the file opens okay. But I contend that's a bad solution. I don't want my input down there. I don't want to have two copies of my input. And although we may not even get to it in this course, sometimes you want to debug build and sometimes you want to release build. And having to copy your data down into the executables location every time is just a waste of time. So how do you change that? You go up here to Edit Configurations. And one of the options here is what's called the working directory. In my terms, the current working directory. Click on the little ... and you get a dialog. Now, exactly where this folder is, you actually can see from the IDE, but you don't have to. One of the things is in this levels the playing field for Macs and Windows is that this gives you a series of buttons that are common solutions to the problem you're trying to solve. okay, this is the one you want. This is the project folder. And if I set by clicking this button or by typing in a value, I set the current working directory to what I, as a human versus the executable, think is intuitively obvious, that I want my working directory to be where my code is. Then I click OK again. And if I run the code now, and I type in the value for the file name that I always expected to work, it does work. So just to review, to change that current working directory, you go up here to your run configurations, you edit configurations, and you make the current working directory your project directory. You don't have to type it in. CLion will take care of that for you. And then your code is set up to succeed. Thanks for listening.